What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I have been very vocal in my support for our brother Tariq Nasheed. I believe that in comparisons to people in the community like Umar Johnson, he gets things done. I look at him somebody who is at least more focused on what he's trying to do. I know people may feel that he may switch lanes quite often, but his Hidden History Museum being able to garner close to $2 million at the last minute shows that Tariq Nasheed can do things that none of us on Black social media can do. He can galvanize an organic based audience and pitch an idea to make it work. That's something that nobody else can do. Even Umar Johnson can't do that. And I celebrate the brother for that, and I'll continue to support him for that. I myself have been called out for supporting Tariq Nasheed. As you can see here, here's a video from Pan-Africanism Strikes Back. It says O'Shea Duke Jackson simps for comment Tariq Nasheed. So I've been also ridiculed for my support of this brother. So when I come and I look at the comments for you people talking about I'm a sellout because of my last video, I don't like African Americans, I need to make a choice, I'm simping from Africans, I just don't understand what you're talking about. And see, we have to be able to disagree without trying to throw somebody away and say that they're a sellout, all right? I've been to Africa 19 different times, but let's just be real. I'm an African American that's in Africa, all right? I am what you would call hashtag FBA, hashtag ADOS. But I know that there's also issues with Blacks in the diaspora, especially Africans and African Americans. I've made hundreds of videos about this, more ruthless than what you may have heard about it on Tariq Nasheed's channel, talking about people in the African community and their disrespect of Black Americans. But let me just tell you, because I came to Poland to go to medical school, and I did graduate, but I was dealing with the African community head on. Because when you live in the Black community abroad, there is no African Americans. When I'm going to London, there's no African Americans. When I'm in Germany, there's no African Americans. When I'm in Poland, everybody's African. So I've learned to understand who I'm dealing with. I've learned to understand some of the things about the African people, and I look for the similarities in us instead of what we're disagreeing with. And let me tell you, there are going to be people in any section that are going to talk shit about you. There are going to be those disgruntled, low performing, people in the African diaspora that are going to have bad things to say about African Americans. All right. And here's my point to Tariq Nasheed. He raised $2 million. How many of them talking shit about African Americans can raise $2 million? And I'm not telling people to just sit back and just take abuse from anybody. I'm talking about in Tariq Nasheed's case. All right. The guy's already raised $2 million. We're talking to trolls in the Twitter chat room who can't even raise $2, maybe $20, $200. That's my point, because you would never find somebody in another community who's successful at raising $2 million, even being in the same room as an unsuccessful troll like that. And I'm going to tell you why we like these roast sessions. And you know me, I get my roast on too. I'm not as good as the top elite, with the Sinful to P and Tariq Nasheed, right? I'm number 3. I can still I still got some smoke, but I ain't good as those guys, all right? But the reason why we love the smoke sessions and the roast sessions with these other immigrants and other groups, I'm going to tell you why that is. Because that's the only power that we have. Because many of us are living in the past, and I'm gonna say some things that's gonna make y'all upset. And as an African American, for the people who've done things for me, those who set the standard for my life, my great grandmother came from Natchitoches, Louisiana during the Great Migration to California, as well as my grandmother. My other grandmother came from Bastrop, Louisiana. See, they didn't have the opportunities that I have to be able to go to school. My mother went to UC Davis. She was the first benefactor of what happened in the Great Migration. Because see, those people did something for us so that I can benefit now. A lot of people argue on the FBA hashtag ADOS. We built this country? No. Our ancestors were the ones that did that. We haven't done nothing in the last 30 years. That's why we're living in the past. And everybody else is living in the present. And we're getting our asses kicked. So because we don't teach people how to treat us, because we as a Black community don't work with our brothers and sisters, because we don't treat our Black women and our Black men with respect, and I'm guilty of that at times. I've done that. You see, when they come over here and they see how we treat each other, then they start treating us like we treat ourselves. And then we want to get mad, talk about words of disrespect, because we are not doing what the forefathers told us to do. We didn't follow what John Henry Clark told us to do. We didn't do what Amos Wilson told us to do. We did what we wanted to do. And now people are coming over here who are more disciplined than us, beating us at our own game. Now you want to be mad at them. And I get it. We can go back and roast them, but you know what that's showing? That we don't have no real power because all we got is a roast. We told them off. You think that's going to change how the way Ethiopians feel, how Somalians feel? I'll tell you what, I got a better solution. And I appreciate the work that the brother Tariq Nasheed was able to do, because he was able to get $2 million from a sleeping giant, and we got more to give to do things to develop our community. So that's just a little, that was light work. And he did that with only 150-something thousand subscribers here on YouTube. But you know what we need to do? Instead of going back and forth with these little roast sessions, how about you start pulling your people up every day? How about you start creating opportunity with your people? How about you start going into business with your people and elevating the standard so that our people can respect it? How about you start doing that, all right? Like the Jews do, like Chinese people do. They make sure their people can get in high positions. They get the skills qualified necessary for people to respect them. So when people dish you, you have what the Jewish have, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Because see, they ain't got to go on Twitter and roast folks. You see, because you know better than to talk to them crazy, right? Because their people own industries. See, we have a lot of situations and stuff like here in America that we could be doing, pulling our people into those things. Our HBCUs, we don't support them. We haven't had a new medical school in Black America since 1972. But now here we are wanting to roast other people. Now I get that, we can do it, and it might be warranted when people talk too much trash, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna make them change how you feel about you. You need more productive African Americans, because we've had African Americans in the city of Philadelphia running the city, in the city of Detroit running the city. We've had the opportunities in Memphis, in Jackson, Mississippi, and we all know how that turned out. You see, if we really wanna have a conversation, then why are we at the bottom? What are we doing that keeps us at the bottom? I'm not worried about what 2 or 3 million Africans may or may not be saying about me, or even Hispanic. I don't even listen to that. I don't care anything about that, because I know my people are a very special people. If you don't like us, I just don't care, because you know what? When I come to Africa and I'm carrying the African-American brand, I'm getting a lot of love because of what people have done for me in my life, because of the success that our folks had in the past. Are you living that success? Because you know what, the life I'm living right now, my grandma couldn't live this life. My mom wasn't able to live this life, but because of what my family and what the people before did for me. Even when I was in the 13, 14, we had deacons at our church that came all the way from, Mobile, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi, and Little Rock, Arkansas, places like that, parts of Tennessee, that moved because they came to McClellan Air Force Base in North Highlands, and they came in the Navy and things like that. And they talk to young Black men like me, want me to be somebody. Can you imagine them having some roast sessions with people because they don't like them? It is your job to pull your people up, and then you make people respect you because you pulled your people up, not because you roasted them to death, but because you pulled them up. And you respect your people, you respect your legacy, you respect your businesses, you respect your economy. Is it their fault that our money stays in the Black community for 6 hours and it leaves? That ain't their fault. That's our fault. So when somebody says that Black women have, all these kids out of wedlock, and they mention it, is it our fault? And we get mad. Of course, I would get mad too, because they're hurt, because it's true. We are the worst generation of productivity in the African-American race ever, right now. That's the facts. We don't want to look at that, but we are. In comparison to the people of our past, we are the biggest embarrassment in this generation to our ancestors. It's the truth. And the way that we want to get around that is by roasting people. You can't roast being unproductive. I'm sorry, you can't. And that goes for any other immigrant group that has something to say about us. If we want them to stop talking, let's get productive. Let's start kicking ass. Let's start getting into these little things, start owning businesses, start owning our own colleges, supporting our own colleges so they don't be closing down, okay? So our HBCUs don't close down like they did before in Atlanta. Then we can talk based off our achievements. We are not achieving, which is why we're roasting, okay? So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Already appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe with the bell. Check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.